Be gentle.
Well, I have to say that you are popping my Zoom artist interview cherry.
Oh,
I have yet to interview any artists on Zoom.
okay.
So many a phoners and stuff like that, but normally our afternoon DJ does like all the interviewing stuff. So since I'm the program director, I'm usually busy with like day-to-day operations and whatnot.
We're
So
gonna do great. Let's do it together.
don't normally do this. All right. Well, obviously you need no introduction. You're Gavin Rossdale. You play in this little band called Bush, which I told my 11-year-old son today. I was like, "Yeah, so I'm going to interview Gavin Rossdale from Bush," and he was like, "What's Bush?" And I was like, "He's like, does he sing on a bush?" And I was like, "No, Jackson." I was like, "He's just a lead singer. The band's called Bush." And he was
You're gonna have
like,
to bring him to the show now. Now you said it. You set up in motion. That was just part one of the story. Jackson, we're going out tonight. Get your rock
I did
shoes
take
on.
him to his first concert a couple weeks ago. We went and saw Imagine Dragons.
Wow, great,
So
fun band.
that was pretty cool. That was up in Kansas City. But speaking of tours, how's the tour going with Alice in Chains Breaking Benjamin? That one's still going on, correct?
It's going really good. It's amazing. I mean, I feel like the baby band. We play early and we open the show, but it's there's also Thunder Pussy playing, or as my they're a great band. It's really fun to be around Alice in Chains. Legendary band. I've known Jerry a long time, but never spent so much time with him. So that's always fun when you can form better friendships or cement friendships like that. And it feels like a festival because people really come early to watch us. There's a lot of people watching the first band, and then we play early, and then they stay all the way through. And we don't get to play in the light, but we get to play against the scorching sun. And it's sort of, I haven't done it for a long time, and it's brutal, and yet there's something magical about it as well. And you play as the sun sets, and I'm all about it being mystical and a great experience. And when Jackson comes, he's gonna be like, "Oh my God, Mom,
Yeah.
this is my tribe. That's what I want."
Speaking of that show, actually adding in a little bit of localism, the Life Project was on a couple of the days.
Yes, yeah.
And Cassandra, who sings in that band, is local here to Springfield, Missouri. Also plays in another band called Paralandra. Did you get to meet them at all?
I did, of course, watch them lots of times. She's a fantastic voice, great singer. And they were a lot of fun, and they did really good on the road. People really liked them. Just a great voice. So I enjoyed hearing her warming up. Actually, she's a really pretty voice.
Yeah, she's awesome. We've known her for a long time, done a lot of work with them locally, stuff like that. So it's very cool to hear.
Super rock.
New album coming out, The Art of Survival, October 7th. Also happens to be your birthday month, right?
Yeah, and also that was my aunt's birthday, my favorite person in the whole world. It was her birthday on the 7th of October, so that is really auspicious for me personally. On the inside, that's a very auspicious date. So I'm thrilled, and it's so wonderful after so much work when you actually have records. I want to hand it to you. I'm done. You take it. It's a really nice feeling. You know what I mean? You just I'm there from when it's just silence. I go from silence at the beginning when there's literally not a sound to what's the silence between the songs, the breaks. So it starts with silence and ends in silence, and in the middle is like music that kind of to elevate Jackson.
Jackson's really gonna, with all these name drops, Jackson's really gonna have to come to a Bush show.
He's
That's
gonna
for
really have
sure.
to deliver. He better not get into polka music or just like reggae only. He can like reggae, but like he's got to like the rock. With his mum as a PD of a rock station. I mean, he's going to be growing up around a lot of guitars.
I definitely try, but he definitely leans more towards well, he likes Imagine Dragons, and they fall somewhere in between a little bit of rock and pop, but he really likes hip hop a lot too. So
Well, I think that pop, with when you have pop with rock, it just means that you have rock music that's melodic, with like things you can whistle to, tunes, melodies.
yeah. So speaking of albums and such, what would you think? Like, let's compare the '90s to 2022. And what do you feel is like the biggest difference between promoting an album back then in the '90s and then now we're in 2022 and promoting your album now?
Well, you're always trying to get people to fall in love with you, whatever the decade. You want people to fall in love with the band, the sound, the intention. Any one of us, we're all available uh, uh, um, for connection. Obviously, it goes without saying about them. We used to sell records. Now you don't sell records, but it's not a very interesting point. I think that intrinsically, if music is about connection and connectivity and people kind of relating to you and you becoming, I used the word earlier, part of their tribe, wearing your band t-shirts, knowing your songs, talking to your friends about you. I think that hasn't changed. I think people still want the same. Probably attention spans are a bit shorter. People don't think of long records like albums, but that goes with it. I think the basic premise of it is it's an ancient job, and it began hundreds of years ago with people going around in wagons and selling elixirs and singing songs and telling stories. I think the job hasn't changed. I think it's just kind of got more trucks and bigger lighting and that stuff. But intrinsically, that's what it is. Every band that comes into town is just another wanderer trying to sort of sell you something, and you just hope it's good.
There we go. Okay, wanted to ask. So I just watched on Netflix the Trainwreck Woodstock.
Right.
And you did a little bit of commentary in there. Did you watch it?
I watched the first one. I haven't seen it since then. I'm not a over fan of watching myself. It just bugs me. So I was like,
I'm not an over fan of hearing myself, so I guess I understand that.
yeah.
So I guess I can't really ask then if you thought the documentary was accurately portrayed. So
I need to watch the rest of it. I will watch the rest of it. It was interesting for me to shoot that and to revisit that time, because for me, we had an incredible night. We had an incredible show, and I was so lost. I was enamored with that whole Hendrix and Woodstock and the original. So I know, and I think it's stated in the documentary that I saw, like, I was the one who got it wrong and didn't really didn't buy into. I didn't take the aggression. I didn't understand the aggression that was happening. I didn't feel that. I was just thinking, here we are, let's make it better than 69. Let's have our time. It's 99, and let's all connect, and let's all be brothers and sisters. And so, I was like an idiot. I was like, I'm not a hippie, but I was trying to sort of be, I saw it as this great opportunity to show culture that we had as much connection. And then it became obvious that it just went and turned into sort of a riot, and a lawless riot. And so I kind of got a sense of it then, but I was really reminded of it all the way through the interview, because I was talking with the guy, and like the context of, well, these rapes, there were rapes. I mean, I still can't fathom that there could be gang rapes there and people wouldn't stop it. I mean, no one could do that at one of our shows and get away with it. I don't still have a hard time understanding how that happened and why it wasn't stopped and why people didn't intervene. It's just unthinkable. I mean, I go in the crowd every show. I'm there amongst 15, 20,000 people. There's nothing like that happening. If there's anything happening, it's taken care of. So I suppose it just was a crazy, lawless, terrible learning curve, especially for the victims, you know. I mean, in all these things, it's about the victims, you know. It's not even about Woodstock. It's be a documentary about those people and how they're doing, not about Woodstock.
Yeah, it sounds like it was just really a lack of security, and quite possibly, unfortunately for the victims, probably opportunity for somebody to do that to them, you know, and not have anybody else see, or, you know, try to stop it or something like that. So there had to have been, I feel like there had to have been like some kind of opportunity for somebody to do something, because, you know, in the rock community, like we care about each other. So there's no, that kind of stuff doesn't have or shouldn't happen in the community, or any community for that matter. So, all right. Well, all right. So I was on Facebook, and I was kind of talking about this interview, and I was like, you know, help me, listeners, do my job for me. Any questions that you can think of for Gavin that I can ask him? And then I come to find out you have a Instagram page called Eat with Gavin Rossdale. Mm-hmm. You're a big cook?
Yeah, I like it. You know, I like it's European, so it's part of our tradition. I have so many kids that's a great way of. That's the big connection. Meal times. We don't eat separately. You know, isolated. Everything's always together, and I have this bizarre connection to cooking. I don't, you know, Miles Davis said every musician should be able to cook. And I love to cook. And it feels like an act of love. It's an act of servitude, you know, to make beautiful food for people. And then it just warms people up when you give them a great meal and they're eating great and have a drink, and you know, it's just culture.
Did you ever think about, do you have like somebody asked about a cooking show, and I was like, okay, that's something that have you ever tinkered with the idea of having a cooking show?
Yeah, yeah, for a few years, it's been a bit of a nightmare, but I'm trying to get one together at the moment, and I'm in the middle of apparently doing a deal to finalize that. And that's like an interview show. It's called Eat with Gavin Rossdale, and that is this interview show where I cook for one person and just chat to them, have a dinner with them, and we shoot it. And I shot a couple of episodes as teasers with a couple of people, and now I've been in the process. I mean, it's been years in the making. You know, it's not easy, I guess, to make TV. So it's been a couple of years in the making, and I'm hope to be there soon. But yeah, I'm working on that. So all that page that you see, that kind of stuff, is that sort of a dinner, you know, and then spread out, and whatever anyone likes, my guest likes, might be teetotal. You can have like, you know, alcohol-free cocktails, whatever kind of funky, cool stuff. Or it could be someone who loves, you know, wine, and then we just drink and have a laugh. And it's basically, it's just an interview show, and food is a great is a great sort of lubricant, social lubricant. You know, you just sit there and eating and drinking, having a laugh and shooting the breeze, and great stuff comes up. So it's really about doing a show with famous people, but yet getting different sides of them, not a sort of work stuff, what they, you know, not about a record they have or a book they've written. It's more about them, finding out about people, because I'm intrigued about creative people and how closely I resemble them or not, don't resemble them, you know, what their process is, how they began, what was inspiring to them, what hurt them, what hindered them, who helped them, all those kind of things, you know. because it's fun. The more you listen to people, the more interesting they become.
I think that sounds awesome. Actually, I would totally. I mean, I love Food Network. I usually have that on most parts of the day when I'm not watching some kind of crime TV. So I feel like I could be interested in that.
It's good fun. You know,
So
I do
I really
half
hope
as,
that one works out.
yeah, me
That'd
too.
be really cool.
They keep telling me it's getting close to the deal, so we'll see.
I
The thing
mean,
is, all these public things is that you get to find out if anything happens with them. It's not like an old school friend and, oh, let me know if your printing business does well, then you have to think about them. With me, it's like, if you see that show, it's happened. If you don't see that show, the deal fell through.
but don't you think you could just make it happen on your own? I mean, just
Yes, I could have done all along, 100%. But the thing is, I'm trying to get really um, wonderful people on there, and just wanted to have a little bit of budget with it, just to make them, just to pamper them. Of course, I could just shoot that a
yeah.
couple of cameras and make it happen and do more guerrilla style. But I had higher hopes for it, which may or may not be right. You know, you could be right. The director said to me all along, like you're saying, what? We could just shoot it. We don't need anyone, you know, just shoot it and make a YouTube channel. Just do that. But kind of gone the other way around. It's not a network TV. It's sort of just, it will still be, it's a weird one. I don't know. Yeah, so we're close again.
It made me think about the guy who on YouTube, and like his name escapes me, but he does the interviews, you know, and he's got some pretty big celebrities on there, and they eat hot wings and drink beer
Oh,
while he interviews them.
yeah, yes.
Kind of. I mean, yours would seem a little bit more
Mine's not about creating
sophisticated.
pain. His, you know, it's like they get into the painful areas, you know, the hot way, and it's like super hot. Mine's the opposite. Mine's like all about pleasure. Mine's
Right.
pleasure. It's pure pleasure. So yeah, slightly different than. I mean, it's ambitious. My thing. We'll see. Simple, but it's ambitious.
So, all right, and I guess last but not least, we should probably get to the meat of the interview and talk about the new single "More Than Machines," which I guess has some pretty hot topic issues in it. I'm not one to listen to lyrics and really, you know, dig deep into them. I'm always more of a beat kind of girl, but um, you know, did you expect to go in that direction when writing this? Were you just like, you know what?
I
Things
just,
are
it was
crappy
all
right
that.
now.
It was the issue was brewing, and I couldn't help but find it really alarming and really um,
Believe me,
kind
I
of
find them
not of.
alarming as well.
Excuse me.
I said, believe me, I find them alarming as well. So,
Of course. So for me, I just found it just a very like a bizarre step in 2022 to dictate to women anything. I mean, we're in a time when we're celebrating women, finally elevating women from years of sort of subjugation, you know, and rightfully so, creating more equal world. That sounds such a sort of a retrogressive step, you know. It's just backward step, and then you got to be really careful, because what can I say about it? You know, it's not me. You know, I just so I whenever I've always tackled lots of different issues in our music, but I've always done it in a way that it's not telling people how to live and lecturing people. It's more suggestive things. And from my first record, from 16 Stone, you have a song called Bomb. I grew up in London, and there was a time where the IRA and the Protestants used to fight. They used to bomb. There were bombs in London, and people died, and the whole terrorist activity in Northern Ireland. And so I wrote about that, but I wrote about it in a sense of, from the point of view of a guy who goes shopping, and he gets blown up in the shopping mall, And so I just personalized it. So it's not saying I'm for Catholics, I'm for Protestants. It's just saying, look, this is what happens. This is what went down. Same with the Black Lives Matter. You know, the kingdom was written this sort of like this, going for this sort of, can't we just all get along? This is nuts that we have these prejudices and these minorities are suffering. It's just like this ignorance you can't keep sustaining, giving oxygen to this ignorance. And look at the way that around the world, the marches, the peaceful protests around the world. So that was the kingdom, you know. That wasn't me saying you should think A, B, and C. It was just like, wow, if we just like try to get along, try to understand each other, and just like make space for each other, we can have a better world, right? And then this came along, and I was really happy to get that in there, because I think that if you make things and you don't reference, like if you make songs, you don't reference anything that's happening. I'm not necessarily like, you know, think of me as a political writer, but I do write and I'm in the world, you know what I mean? I'm living in it, so I'm hearing it. And to be honest, I felt guilty. I felt like I'd failed through every song to not put that in there somehow. You know, I was like, well, where are you going to put that? That's, you know, that's bugging you every day. I'm waking up going, come on, you can't be serious. What are you telling people? This is crazy. And so when I managed to put that in, there's like a haiku about it. Girls, you in control, not the government. That's it. That's all I put. And that's enough to be respectful, not be didactic and like forcing people. And somehow I'm being respectful, you know. I'm very respectful of women. I grew up with very surrounded by powerful women, you know, and especially for my aunt, whose birthday is Maggie on October the 7th. She taught me so much when I was growing up that she would be proud that I was, you know, just not pretending it wasn't happening.
I think that was elegantly stated to say, you know, I'm here, this is happening. I'm not here to tell you to think how to think, or, you know, and that's the way I've always felt about it too. It's like, I definitely don't want to downplay the way you feel. It's just like, but it feels like such a weird backwards turn that we just took. And I mean, but I still respect your beliefs and, you know, whatnot. But anyway, that was perfectly stated. One last thing, and this is from Jennifer Nyren off my Facebook page. Her 13-year-old nephew, who's Luke, is going to sing Glycerine at his talent show. And she wants to know if you have any tips for Luke as he performs Glycerine at his talent show. He's 13 years old. Performance anxiety, maybe, or like how you get past that? I don't know.
Well, first off, thank you, Luke, for choosing that song. Makes me very happy. And I hope that he posts it and we can see it. I think that when people see you perform, and it's very hard at 13 because it can be a lot of nerves, but the more that Luke can get lost in the song and really, really think about if somebody can sing it, whatever it makes him feel, he doesn't be chained to this emotion, but as long as he can keep, the more lost he can get in the song, that's what people want. People want him to be lost in the song, because then they'll get lost in the song, because he's got to remember the audience is a reflection of him. So if he doesn't lose himself, the audience can't lose themselves. So he has to dive deep into the song and trust that all his work he's put into knowing it, it's just going to come. So he knows it backwards, but he just is the best version of the lost Luke in the moment.
Well, I hope they do record it, and if
me too.
If I do get a copy of it, I'll try to get it your way. That's for
Please
sure.
Please do.
So, all right. Well, thank you, Gavin. I appreciate
thank you
your time with me.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
All right.
Cool. Tell Jackson. See him later. Tell Jackson I'll see him at the show.
I'm going to let him know that, and he better show up.
And I'm not going to be on a bush. I'm in Bush.
Yeah, we'll see if he ever grasps the concept of that. But 11-year-olds.
All right.
So, all right, thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye.
All the best.